Hey guys! Today I'm going to be talking about my UCAS essay. Still getting used to the staring at my phone camera and not the phone screen thing, but I will be darting back and forth. I will be telling you about my structure, the things I put in there, why I picked these books, things like that. Without further ado, because that's what all YouTubers say. First, a few things you need to know about how to write a UCAS essay. Actually, do I want to split this into two videos? One telling you how to write it and one reading my UCAS essay? That sounds like a good idea. Good idea. I will be talking about how to write a UCAS essay and drawing examples from my UCAS essay in this video. Because it's actually kind of long now that I look at it. So first thing you need to know about UCAS essays is they are very direct. None of that American creative. In my YU Chicago essay, I write I'm a gargoyle and I'm writing like why I want to be a student on campus and things like that. None of that for a UCAS essay. They want you for a very specific reason, and that is because you are capable and you are intelligent and you are passionate for the major / field you are applying for. Please know that I'm sure you know this if you're a UK college applicant or like college prospective hopeful, but you should know your field. I have heard of Chinese students. I'm saying Chinese students, not generalizing to all Chinese students, but just people around me because I study in Shanghai, so Chinese students going for more minor majors like Arab studies when they actually don't know anything, but they're doing that because they think it's a more minor major and it's something that they can like rapidly learn in like 2 weeks if they get the interview notice. I've heard of those people. Don't be one of those people. If you are not from the UK, if you are not from France or any other country in the EU, or if you are studying somewhere else, or even if you are like a British citizen and you're studying elsewhere, in your first paragraph for your UCAS essay, be very specific about why you want to go to the UK to study. So literally I said, born and raised in a Singaporean household, venturing to the UK for tertiary studies has always been perceived as a matter of course. And then I talk about the British education system and how important it is to me. Second piece of advice, talk a little bit about yourself in the second paragraph, but be very academic about it. Talk about yourself in relation to why you want to do this major. So for myself, I want to do PPE. So in my self-intro, I talked about myself very much in terms of my cultural identity. So what I said was, my household is a 3-generation blend of contrasting political and cultural flavors with lots of different kinds of political and cultural flavors. Having grown up at a dinner table fervently lit up with different political leanings and fierce discussion, I've grappled with the diversity of political beliefs since a young age. And then I talk about my school curriculum, which happens to be IB. You can talk, if you do AP, you can talk about your AP courses. If you do A-level, talk about your A-level courses. And be sure to connect your curriculum with what you want to be studying. So for me, I openly talked about how there was no IB politics and no IB philosophy offered in my school. There probably are offered in other schools, you lucky, but not in my school. So I talked about how in lieu of this, I pursued IB psychology in an attempt to get closer to that social science that was not offered, and I also took IB economics. So that's my second paragraph. And then my third, fourth paragraph were like the longer ones. I literally broke my paragraph down into three different ways. My first one was showing how much I want to study this subject and how badly I've been trying to study it. Things I've read, books that I've read, and my thoughts on specific issues with these books, and then very briefly my extracurriculars and how these extracurriculars reflect my want to study this major. So this is how I was structured my paragraph, having these 3 components for these 2 major paragraphs. My focus in my UCAS essay, even though I am applying for politics, philosophy, and economics, my focus was definitely more on politics. One note that I really want to emphasize here is how much you need to blend in these 3 subjects with each other. I know there are many majors. I think even for Cambridge, there's like UCAS, interdisciplinary majors that involves multiple fields of study. Definitely find a way to melt them together. In my case, it was extremely easy because finding places that politics and philosophy intersected, or finding places where philosophy and economics intersected, was extremely simple. So let me give you an example of each of the 3 structures within a paragraph that I talked about. For me, politics is not simply an empirical or theoretical study, but rather a way of life that warrants a great degree of heuristic engagement and integration. And then I talked about how I built up this habit of always listening to BBC podcasts and Chinese Chinese news podcast, mainly CCTV, and how I would compare the two. So this is part 1 because it shows what I've been trying to do outside of the classroom and how I want to pursue it. And then you go into part 2, which is the books that you've read or the information that you know. And here I talked about The Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, The Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. These 2 books for politics. I wrote about sovereign power and the implications of them lying in an undivided people and lying in a sovereign. Basically, the different ways you look at sovereign power. So that's my second part of my paragraph, which is talking about a specific issue within the books or articles or journals that you've read. And the third thing in my paragraph structure would be how my ECAs, my extracurricular activities, would relate to politics in this example. So here I talked about how I was elected as Secretary General of the first UN for MUN conference in China, and how being president of the International Affairs Association in my school, I had to mentor and train a lot of students. I was very direct in this essay, and I'll talk about general advice later, but I think you should be direct. So I literally said, the honors recognize my abilities to develop complex arguments and construct political stances, and these positions allowed me to launch a political news column in my school, informing students about international affairs and thus integrating politics into their daily lives. So that's the end of my politics paragraph. So very clear 3 structure, kind of like AEC, like assertion, evidence, commentary that you learn in 8th and 9th grade. You get that feeling. I broke one paragraph into 3 sections, and then I wrote these 3 sections separately. Then I found ways to integrate them into one paragraph and like add transitions or add some sort of like melting 2 sections together. But it was very clear that one paragraph was structured in this way. I'll give you another example. It's 4 p.m. right now, and I literally just woke up because I'm having winter break. You're not having winter break, but I'm having winter break. So there.